Hello, boys and girls. I'm Perlo, and you're listening to Perlo's take on the Montreal Canadiens playoffs and what the future may hold for them in the summer as they move on after losing to the Carolina Hurricanes. And so if you watched my previous video, I did a in playoff video based on why I was losing so much money with the Montreal Canadiens. I took Tampa to beat them. I took Buffalo to beat them. And you can look at that video and it shows you why. And I kind of still stick to my picks on those. If you go over through the series, there was a lot of Montreal was outplayed quite a bit in those series. And the reason why it's not that I don't like the Montreal Canadiens. First of all, this idea, I've had some DMs and people say that I'm just a Montreal Canadiens hater. Far from it. Far from it. I can't say that I'm a number one fan or anything like that. I'm not really if I was to say I was a number one fan of a team right now, it would be the Florida Panthers. And I do like the Vegas Golden Knights, the way they're doing things. But I'm a person who follows teams based on philosophy and the way they build their rosters and the way they do business. And right now, I just like the way that, not just now, for a while, I've liked the way Florida Panthers have done so, especially after they picked up Matthew Tkachuk. But I also like the way Montreal is doing business, and I like the way they're building their roster. I can't say that this has not been an impressive build for the Montreal Canadiens. Basically, like a very short rebuild. What many teams would like to say they would want to do for sure, and haven't had success. A very team that they beat the Buffalo Sabres. I mean, their rebuild went on and on and on. And the Detroit Red Wings haven't made the playoffs in like 9 years. The Montreal Canadiens did a sort of quick retool and picked up some great players, identified veterans that they could move to get players like Suzuki. They've got great draft picks like Slavkovsky, who was kind of off the board. Dobish has been excellent for them. Their goaltending coaches and development seem absolutely awesome, including still Fowler to go below them. Demidov was an amazing pick. Some interesting stuff about Demidov. As we go into the next draft, I'll kind of go on a side note here. There's a lot, I believe there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we're not aware of when picking players. They do draft interviews with players, and they talk to agents for a reason. A lot of that sometimes has to do with, does that player really want to buy into what they're doing? And from what I understood, from what I were to understand, Demidov was very high on becoming a Montreal Canadian. And he kind of sent the impression to other teams that maybe he might not want to sign long there. He just didn't seem to be buying in to anyone but the Montreal Canadiens at that draft. Hence the reason why he fell to the Montreal Canadiens. And I think as we future this draft, you could take that into consideration with some of the picks you may see. For various reasons, some players may not be a fan of the city and all that. And I've had this discussion with people before, with people that like on Twitter and stuff like that. And they'll say, well, they can't do anything about it. If they're picked, they're picked. You're right. They are picked. If they are picked, they are picked. No doubt about it. But if you are picking a player, and even though you think they are the better player, but they're giving you vibes that they're not really into maybe going to where your city or your development of where you are, or maybe the position that they're going to be in if you draft them, if you're very deep on, say, the right side, and they don't see a spot for themselves, they're going to be throwing money possibly if they can wrestle that number one spot. So there's a lot of things that go into play when looking at the draft. But regardless of that, Montreal has done a really good job of building their organization. Like the Reinbacher pick, for one thing. We should go look at that draft. There were players that were available, probably better, but they already had Caulfield. They already had Suzuki as a number one center. And if you're doing interviews with prospects that you might want to draft, and they're like, you already got Caulfield, where's my spot? I want to be a number one. I want to get paid like a number one. And they're, them and their agent are saying, look, we're not really high on going to your organization. What do you say? You're probably not drafting them, even though they are the better player. Hence the reason possibly why they took Reinbacher in the spot that they did. Just some underlying things that happen in the draft when you go, why would they do that? But Montreal has built the Suzuki for Pacioretty was fantastic, taking Caulfield late when other people were, his skating apparently wasn't the fastest in the world. Of course, that whole small player thing. And that's worked out really well for them, although he is not the most complete player in the world. But he's an amazing scorer, an incredible scorer. You got, and the Slavkovsky pick, turns out that was absolutely fantastic. They went and picked up Newhook from Colorado. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go through the roster. And I'll kind of rehash a little bit why I was softer on Montreal than obviously I should have been, because I took them to lose to Tampa, and I took them to lose to Buffalo. Now they went 7, and I still say I don't even feel bad about it, because I still say that the lesser roster, at least forward and defense wise, won both of those series. But they did it extremely well. I've given lots of praise to Martin St. Louis. I think Martin St. Louis might be the best coach in the NHL right now. He's got a bunch of young players, teaching them a man-on-man system that is, it can be tough to learn. A lot of these players have not played man-on-man systems before. It's not common, say, in Europe. Slavkovsky and those guys, they don't play man-on-mans in Europe. They play more of zone defenses and stuff like that, possession defense, and possession. They are generally more possession in the offensive zone. Although man-on-man can be possession, you don't see that so much with Carolina. It depends on how you want to do it. So they're all adapting to that, and I think Martin St. Louis is doing well. One thing I'd mentioned before is what I was really impressed with Montreal with was when the game got chaotic, which would mean that there was breakdowns in the opposition's defensive game, or even better, when they created chaos, when they used their speed in the offensive zone and got passing, that team was unbelievable to watch. Like they were fantastic. The skill level on the Montreal Canadiens, especially with their top 4 players forward, and of course Hudson, Dobish to a certain extent, is second to none. Yeah, it's fantastic to watch. I had Carolina to win the series. I had them to win it in 5, which happened, and that a lot of that had to do with the fact that Montreal had just played 2 7-game series. They only had 1 game off in between the Tampa and Buffalo series, which is crazy. 1 day off, and then play a 7-game series, then have 2 days off, and now you're playing against a Carolina team that I believe is the most well-conditioned team in the league. Well-conditioned team in the league because of Brind'Amour, and that system that they play is built to wear you down. They kill you with the, I've said it before, they kill you with a million paper cuts. They're relentless. And they practiced that system for a very long time. For several years. Most of the players on that team have been playing together for a long time, and they instinctively would know what to do in every situation when they're playing against an opposition, depending on what they decide to do. First game, of course, was I misjudged, and I will never do that again. If any team has, like we're looking at possibly with Vegas, Carolina, Vegas has got like a week off. But especially as long as 12 days that Carolina had, I thought maybe they might be able to overcome that with the fact that they have such an instinctual system. And obviously I was wrong. Montreal did win that first one. I'll never do that again. Because if Carolina can't do it, there's not going to be teams that can. So Montreal took that one, Carolina in that game. But once they got their legs going, but going back to it, one game and then 2 days off and then a 7-game series, and you're going against a Carolina team that's just a freaking physical wagon and has a system that already wears just any team down, regardless of whether you're tired or not. I mean, if you take any team in the league, I would say, and you give them 2 7-game series with like 3 days off, one day the first after the first and 2 after the second, I think Carolina beats any team in the league. Let alone a young team that is also learning how to balance their emotions and not get too high, not get too low. There's emotional, mental drain that goes there. They had tons of they were on the road for a lot of it, so they were doing a lot of travel. It was just a really tough spot for the Montreal Canadiens, no doubt about it. That's why I like Carolina so much in the series, and they did well. But Jake, I still say that if you, in the Tampa Bay series, if you switched, and unfortunately I hate to say this because, I mean, the guy's a legend, but if you switch Vasilevsky and Dobish in that series, Tampa Bay wins that series. In Buffalo, if you switched Lyon and Luukkonen combined, put them over in Montreal and put Dobish in Buffalo, Buffalo wins that series. Dobish was a freaking beast. Absolute beast. I've heard lots of stuff on Twitter about St. Louis didn't adjust the system. You know, it's hard when you're a fan of a team to say that we just aren't good enough. It's hard to say. It's easier to say that the coach could have did this or the coach could have did that, because people have emotional connection to players, generally speaking, more than they do coaches. For one, coaches generally don't stay around long enough. And it's very easy to say, oh, wait, he didn't make adjustments. He should have put Jack-Eye in game. Look, if you are putting Jack-Eye in against Carolina, you're likely going to lose. Jack-Eye is going to get absolutely butt fucked by Carolina. He's not a great skater, doesn't move the puck well. He does the best he can with what he's got, and he can look impressive sometimes because he can physically get in the corners and make people hurt and stuff like that. But he's barely an NHL defenseman. So that takes us to where Montreal goes from here. And I'm going to look at their roster. Maybe I'll look at some analytics. You can go look at the one that I did middle of the playoffs when I talked about why I was taking Montreal over Tampa and Buffalo and losing money doing it, where you see all the analytics for all the players. I used JFresh Analytics. I tried a bunch of models, but JFresh has made me a lot of money as an NHL capper, especially for future picks. Didn't realize this. I had a preseason future of Vegas, Carolina. So that turned out all right. Yeah, he would, Habs. I'm sorry. Jack-Eye, people love him because he's physical. He'll fight and he'll do all of those sort of things like that. But a high possession team like Carolina will have him going around in circles, man. You mentioned, this is what you said, and cool for you to disagree. It is my opinion more than anything, although it is based on what I see as a player in analytics. He's bad defensively at times. He would look really bad defensively going up against a healthy Carolina. Very bad defensively. He's not just bad defensively at times, he's always bad defensively. He's just bad. He's not a good player. He's physically strong, and fans love guys that are willing to, put their blood out there and do things like that, but he's not a good defenseman. When this team is really good, Jack Guy will not be on it. Can promise you that. In fact, it could be as close to this season that he won't be on it. So let's look at the roster then. I know it's an unpopular thing. I get slammed by people constantly all the time about Jack Guy, and I don't like to say it because the guy's got heart coming out of his yin yang, but call it as I see it. I didn't get slammed as much as I did for saying that Toronto would miss the playoffs. I'll tell you that. I don't think he's not sparking the Habs there, dude. You're dreaming. You're dreaming. If they could catch Carolina, maybe, but Strubal's not great either. We're going to get into that. Strubal's okay. He's really not that great. He's better than Jack Guy, though. And we'll look at the analytics for that too. And yes, I don't just look at analytics. I watch a divorce-worthy amount of hockey. Analytics need context. I realize that, and I'll talk about it as we go through the roster and all of those sort of things like that. I was an old school guy. There was a time not too long ago when I would have said the same thing you're saying. Jack Guy should be in there. I love those heart and soul guys. He's going to create a spark and all that kind of stuff like that. And with some players, that could be the case. Against a Carolina team like that, I think he's just out of his element. He's just out of his element there. It's just a bad matchup for him. Maybe over a slower plugging team that the forwards can come back and basically take the puck off his stick all game, sure. But I'll continue with that. Basically, for Jack Guy to be out there, their forwards need to come right back into the D zone. Because he can't, he's either going to dump it off the boards and put it on the stick in the neutral zone against Carolina, or somebody's got to take it off of his stick. His first pass out of the zone is pretty much non-existent. And they did do that against Buffalo, and they did do that against Tampa Bay. They come down low. But you try to do that against Carolina, now the whole way you're going to beat Carolina is stretch passing in the neutral zone. You got to get behind that defense somehow. They did it in the game one. You notice it was like huge stretch passes with one tap, and the center comes up and goes through the middle. As soon as Carolina saw what they were doing, they took their man-on-man, put it deeper so they couldn't do that anymore, and forced them to have to skate the puck out and forced them into a dump and chase game if they could. Montreal's not built for that, and that kind of screwed them. If you would have had Jack Guy there, the forward's got to come back too far into the zone. Now, he's only going to play 6 minutes, 7 minutes a game anyways, so it's not that much of a hurt. But if he's only playing 6 minutes a game and your team's already tired, somebody's got to play more minutes. How is he better than Jack Guy? Okay, let's go at it right now. How is he better than Jack Guy? We'll look at it right now. I'll switch this to replace. All right. Can you see that all right? Yeah, okay, good. Arbor Jack guy. Depth forward. Competition level 0. That means that he's put out against the weakest of weakest competition as much as he possibly can. The coach does not trust him against top lines at all. Nowhere near it. Even strength offense, non-existent. This is based on his this teammates here and 3%. That is how he what kind of effect he has on teammates that he plays with, which is an anchor. You don't even see these this low too often. He's one of the worst defensemen in the NHL. Even strength, the defense is 41%, but that's at a 0% competition rate. Basically, this is the marker of an AHL defenseman. That's what this is. He's 24 years old. All right. And you only have to watch it to see. If you know what you're watching, I have people say this to me all the time. Well, just watch the game. Well, do you know what you're watching? Go back and watch a Montreal game and see when they put Jack Guy out and what lines are on the ice, when he is taken off the ice. Usually Jack Guy's taken off the ice as soon as he possibly can, especially if a top line or something goes on there. That's because he's not very good. Now, what are we doing? Struble? Jaden Struble. Plays a little tougher competition. I admit, I agree. I don't think Jason Struble's not that great, but he at least is able to be probably against fourth lines and third lines. He does okay. He's not going to do much for you, I have to admit, but I would take him over Jack Guy. And that leads me to my next thing is they got to do something about their bottom pair. Their bottom pair is just not very good. And people say, well, it's just an excuse that they're tired. If you don't have much of a bottom pair, your top four has to take a brunt of everything. And also your forwards have to work a hell of a lot harder because they have to make up for that. Your forwards are going to spend more time in your D zone with those guys on the ice, and that's going to be more tiring for your forwards if they actually go there. You know, like Caulfield's not a guy that likes to go deep down in the D zone too often. I'll tell you that right now. You know, like that's not what he does. But guys like Suzuki, even Newhook to a certain extent, I mean, it makes their job a lot harder to have a bottom pair like that. All right, we'll go back to the other defense that they have. Yeah, they need to get better on their third pair for sure. I still think Reinbacher's going to be pretty good. They're very slow in not slow isn't the right word. They like to cook their players in the AHL before they bring them up. They don't want to overwhelm young players too often, especially if they think they're going to develop. They need more development to be at their peak, which is good. You want that. You don't want to be bringing up guys before they're ready, that's for sure. And Montreal certainly doesn't do that. Although they've got great players like Demidov, it doesn't really matter. So I said a little kind of shitty stuff up till now, but let's not get this twisted. Montreal is going to be almost assuredly one hell of a team. I have plenty of trust in Gorton. I think Gorton has a lot of say in what goes on there. He's kind of like, to me, he's like the general manager more than anything than Hughes. But Hughes is a pretty smart guy, and he was a great agent, and he's done wicked. Like, he's an agent. Look at these contracts. Caulfield, 7-8 for 4 more years. Suzuki, 7-8. Basically just a little higher for 3 more years. That's insane. Slavkovsky, like, they have identified guys and they've taken gambles, as a maybe like you call it, people would call it gambles on young players' development, and probably not a gamble at all, looking forward at what they were going to be, and absolutely have done an amazing job. Alex Newhook, okay, I mentioned this before in the Montreal series, and I've mentioned it on the show quite a bit. Watch the show 10:30 Eastern when just before games. It won't be on for, we'll be on Monday. Rico and Perlo's House of Exotic Honeys Picks Frolic. If you like betting, or even if you don't, we talk a lot of hockey, just about hockey in general. But Alex Newhook, I think he's okay. He's a serviceable player, preferably down on the third line. And I know he had good offense in he had offense beyond what he normally is. What did he have? He had 7 goals, 10 points in 19 games. And what happened there, what I saw was St. Louis, and he's a pretty good defensive player. He's not bad for a small guy. I won't go through all the analytics, but if you want to see the cards for these guys, and then I'll show them. But to me, he's more of a third liner than anything. I don't think you're going to see him go on a 40-goal pace anytime soon. St. Louis identified something in Buffalo, though. Buffalo played a pretty projectable system. They're a young team that is also learning a man-on-man system. It's taken them 2 years under Ruff just to get the basics of a man-on-man system down. So adjustments with them are difficult. And because that system is going to expand further, I'm pretty sure, under Ruff. But it's taken them a while just to be physically able to do it and be able to get the concept and to work together as a team to be able to do it. Man-on-man system is a very team-orientated system. Now, Carolina plays it. It's not the same as this one, as Buffalo's. Buffalo plays man-on-man D, but more zone-ish type stuff in the neutral and the offensive zone. And it's a very similar breakout system to Carolina. Carolina plays man-on-man all 3 zones, which is freaking insane physically to do. But St. Louis noticed that if they lost possession, Buffalo took a while to get back. They would sometimes get caught deep, and he started telling Newhook, fly the zone. We're going to stretch out the ice on Buffalo. And that's not something that Newhook usually does, but it was brilliant. It opened him up a lot. And Newhook also had a lot of opportunities to play against some of the lines that they could expose, like the Zucker line and stuff like that in Buffalo, especially when he was at home, where his speed was huge against that line. So St. Louis identified it. It worked out really good for a short time with Alex Newhook. I don't think you're going to see him all of a sudden become a 70-point player. I hope I'm wrong for Newhook's sake, but it's flying the zone like that only works for a short amount of time. Teams make adjustments, and then Newhook goes back to being Newhook again. I mean, Jake Evans in the second pair, that's just not supposed to be, man. He's not a second pair. He's a serviceable third pair. I like him better on the wing, actually. And then Demonov's got to prop up that line. Demonov is an absolute freaking beauty. Love him. Slavkovsky, beauty. Still learning to fill out his game, but beauty. Suzuki, you can bow down to that guy. Selke level, 101-point player, unbelievable center, unbelievable leader, everything. But this is where things fall off here with, using Jake Evans there. I love the move when they brought Philip Danault in, because in his prime, he was one of the best shutdown centers in the league. He's extremely intelligent, and he's a guy that can help these guys become better in those areas. And this is really where it kind of fell apart for Montreal, or why they had difficulties and why they went 7 games in 7 games, is that everything was reliant on getting goals without getting a lot of shots. And they have guys that can do that. Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slafkovsky. If you give them an opportunity, they can drain it, obviously. Caulfield's a 51-goal scorer. They can drain it. Demonov, too. Just beautiful shooters, beautiful passers, unbelievable skill. There's not too many teams in the league. Definitely don't have young players this skilled. Maybe, San Jose with a little bit or something like that. But those 4, if they can build some solid 3-zone defensive players around this group and these guys, Demidov, you don't need to worry about it. Demidov reminds me of Fedorov. Somebody brought that up in the chat last time I was talking about Montreal. Reminds me of Fedorov back in the day for Detroit. He is already extremely good in 3-zone defensive awareness. So Caulfield, not so much. I don't know. He had a little bump this year. He could still, smart player, he can still build on that. I mean, DeBrincat was just like Caulfield, and he bought in, and he has become about an average guy. I think Caulfield can do that, and if he does, freaking beautiful. But I don't really think you need to bring like the serious offensive guys. I think they need more guys that can shut down other lines. Alexander Tessier is a filler guy. He's not going to be a long-term guy in Montreal, I don't think. He's at 2.5. He's got serviceable skill. If he gets open ice, he can do some stuff. Certainly one-on-one with a goaltender. If you look at his shootout ratio, it's freaking nice. He's got beautiful hands, but his overall game is pretty meh. Josh Anderson, same thing. He needs open ice, speed on the outside. If he can get that every once in a while a game, it looks pretty impressive. And he's big, so he can physically wear down guys a little bit. But overall, his game is pretty meh. I do like Zach Bull. I love the Zach Balduke move. I would not give up on this guy. These kind of players are the kind of players I'm talking about that they should. And the fact that they picked up Zach Balduke tells me that they know what they need. It's just a case of getting it. But it takes a while for these young players that have this mind to be able to do it on a regular basis against top competitions. A lot of guys like Zach Balduke don't really hit their stride until they're like 26, 27. But once they get there, they're beasts. So I thought that was a very good move. Joseph Villano, whatever. Kirby Doc, he's had his struggles. I don't know which way they're going to go with that. I mean, are they going to keep on believing the guy? Sometimes he shows he can just be, if he can get over that injury stuff, like there's a player in there. But he could be used. He could be used as a trade chip to someone who sees that, if he can stay healthy by the time he's 27, you got a solid third pair right winger, like say the Vancouver Canucks. Of course, Gallagher didn't play. A lot of people were very unhappy about that. A heart and soul guy, but his game has dropped off just a lot, man. A lot. I think it would be a good idea for him, and it sucks. When he was in his prime, the guy bleeds blue and red, man. And he's a warrior, and he's willing to do anything for the team. He's got balls, he's got heart, he's got all of that stuff. He just doesn't have legs anymore. He's played a ton of hard minutes in his career, and I don't know if you're going to sign him sign him maybe to $1 million, play him on the fourth line, just as that spiritual leader type guy. I'm not opposed to that at all. But they need help in depth, and that's why I was not really. I thought Tampa Bay might beat them, and I thought Buffalo might beat them. And I don't know, Dobish is amazing. They got to. I don't know what they're going to do eventually with Dobish and Fowler, because Fowler is going to be a beast. Seems like another Halak Price situation. They're going to probably end up trading Dobish down the road. When that'll be, I don't know. If Fowler starts really taking over, because that guy is freaking unbelievable. Unbelievable for how young he is. That guy is unbelievable. There's almost for sure Vezina's in that guy's future. And Dobish is fantastic too. So you got two, at least for now, you've got probably the best 1-2 pairing in the league moving forward. So I've heard stuff about, this is going to be a letdown and Montreal probably could miss the playoffs next year. No way. No way. I have too much faith in Gorton and them to be able to find some guys. So we'll look at also some free agents that they might be looking at. But before I do, I really think this team's going to stay the course quite a bit. I didn't get into Michael Hay or to Hage. They've been waiting for Hage. I think they're going to wait another year yet. I think I thought Hage was like this, going to be, because I don't get to watch a lot of college and stuff like that. So I rely on scouts that I really believe in because they're accurate a lot. And from what I understand, his overall game still needs work, especially for what they want. He has a lot of work to do on his defensive side of his game. He's a good offensive guy. He could play, but I'm pretty sure they want somebody with more well-rounded right now. And I think that's what's going to likely happen. I don't think they're going to trade their first-round pick either. I think they're going to keep on building up this farm I think Montreal is trying to build a team not just to win a cup next year. I think they're trying to build a team that is going to be a dynasty. I think and if you're going to do that, you got to have prospects waiting in the wings on a regular rotation. And you can use some of those to get the players you want and stuff like that. I don't see right now that they're super deep in prospects. They're good. And you know what? I think they're number one, but that includes some of the guys that are still on the roster. So I don't know if I want to be throwing away too. Kapanen, I could see. Guy, big offensive guy, like not big as in stature, but he's one of those pure offensive players that, again, needs to round out his game, and I just don't think they have time for it right now. So he'd be better suited going to a team that can give him some spots that for development, and maybe use a pure offensive guy. Something like that. I just don't know how much value he has on the market right now. It's going to be tough to navigate what you use to improve without gutting your farm at the same time. I think the free agent route would be the best way to go, but that may not be something that they can do too much until next year. They've only got $11 million in cap space, and they've got holes to fill. Next year they have 53. I imagine there's some serious guys. Alex Newhook will need a contract if they decide to go that route. Tessier, not that big of a deal, but Demidov's going to be a restricted free agent. Or is he a restricted free agent right now? No. Next year. Next year will be a restricted free agent. Dano is going to need a contract if they wish to go that way. He's going to be less, but they should have some pretty significant cap space after this year to really do a number and make this team just pop. This year, I think they're going to look for filler guys. They got Zach Bolduc. I think they're going to look for a filler guy on that right side. And kind of run it back. They might some bottom pair guys for like over that Buffalo guy, Kesselring. He would be an upgrade over in that bottom pair. Guys like that, maybe to fill out that bottom six. But for the most part, I think if they go the free agent route, because this could be a very expensive free agent, and there's free agency and there's not much high-end guys out there. And the high-end guys that are out there are probably going to get overpaid. One guy I find really interesting, and they have him as a center here, but he's 35, 36 years old. I am not sure that unless he takes a serious cut to stay an Islander, I'm not sure if he stays there, and that's Anders Lee. He's big. He's super strong. He still skates well for his age, and he's a guy that drives the net. And I think that's something kind of Montreal needs. They have Anderson, but Anderson, I mean, his overall game is not worth the fact that he'll drive the net in games. Anders Lee is. Anders Lee is a very good three-zone defensive player. He's probably, if he's not going to be signed by the Islanders, is looking for a place where he thinks he might be able to win a cup. Montreal just made the Eastern Finals. They could probably sell him that, hey, we're going to put you could put Demidov up on that top line where eventually, let's face it, that's where he's going to be. And you can put Slavkovsky with Lee, and I know you still got your center problem. But I don't know how they're going to fix their center problem. I don't know. They have people like last year at the deadline, there was all these rumors about Thomas. But I think St. Louis with Thomas was simply putting Thomas out there as bait to get rid of Shen. So people were like, oh, Thomas is available, I'll call you up. Well, now you know that the teams that need centers. And when you're putting a trade package, St. Louis their asking price was just outrageous. Like, it was just crazy. They wanted Reinbacher, Hayes, first-round picks. Like, they just wanted to gut your system. When Buffalo, they were talking about Helenus. I believe they wanted Norris. They were talking about Byram and first-round picks. Basically, they were not being serious in moving Thomas. They weren't really being serious about it. So, and then eventually, like, the Islanders were in on it. Eventually, the Islanders bit on the bait, and they bit hard, gave up way too much for Shen. And now they're shackled with that contract. So I don't even think Thomas is available. But if they did grab him, you're going to have to gut your system for that. They're not doing it without Hayes. There's no way. And like I said, Hayes looks like he's going to be a really good second-line center from what I understand, but there's still more rounding out his game to be what they want him to be. There's still a lot of growth to go there with Hayes. Maybe you guys haven't. I heard Mason Marchment, which would be perfect for them. They really need a guy like Mason Marchment, but from what I understand, has no interest in playing in Canada. So that's probably not going to be an option. Uh, a guy like Mikheyev makes sense. He's really good defensively, but he's kind of a middle six guy. If you want to go that route, Jaden Schwartz, 33. He's had a lot of injuries and he's kind of dropped off well. But I mean, he's a good hound dog type player if he can do it. He's lost his legs though. I wouldn't want to give him too much, and I have a feeling he'll get overpaid. Boone Jenner, doesn't sound like he's going to sign in Columbus. He just switched agents, and this is a guy that's taking hometown discounts like crazy to stay in Columbus. I think his feelings are kind of hurt that they're kind of leaving him out in the lurch here, and they're not paying him at 32 after everything he's done for them. And the agent he switched to, and I can't remember his name now, Morris, I think his name is. This guy is known for getting players the bag. So he's probably going to get the bag, man, like 6 million, 7 million, something like that. And with their cap space and his decline in play he's on the decline. He's another one of those guys that played a ton of tough minutes. He's 33 years old. He's not what he used to be. And if you're going to pay him huge, buyer beware. Like Eric Hall at 35, guys like that. I think they're going to try to grab some guys that can play 3-zone D, put them in the second line, and kind of run it back and let the team grow. I don't think they're going to go for it next year. I just don't see it. Yeah, well, I just looked at a couple free agents there that, I don't know if it's hard to say that. Here's the thing with Montreal, and I love Montreal. I love the city, honestly. If somebody put millions in my pocket and I had to live in a city in North America, Montreal would be high on the list, at least in the summer anyways. It is awesome city. The people are so unjudgmental. It's a party town. You can be what you want to be there. You can have anything you want there. The food is absolutely mwah. Best in North America, I think. Toronto's really good too, but the food is incredible. The culture is incredible. If you like to party, there's no better place to go. It's beautiful. They got beautiful buildings. It's got that European flavor to it. I freaking love Montreal. Love, love, love. But unfortunately, it's very high taxes. And a lot of these players are avoiding Canadian teams because of the tax ratio. And it does have cold winters. These players have families, and players' wives and girlfriends generally don't have cold weather places as on their vision boards for places to go if they are married into $1 million players. Usually, actually, most of the girlfriends and stuff are doing very well for themselves too. Most players are smart. They have ambitious girlfriends, and it's unfortunately like they do a poll every year on The Athletic and ESPN about the teams most on no trade lists, and all the Canadian teams are in the bottom half. Montreal's higher, Toronto not higher on the no trade list, but more team players don't have Montreal on their no trade list than say Edmonton or Winnipeg, but it's still kind of high up there. So it's hard for me to say free agents would go there. I know Marchment doesn't want to go there, and he's from Toronto too. He's from Ontario. So money is obviously something that's important to them. I remember watching a thing on Montreal and this is true, by the way, it's overvalued, this tax thing, because I'm from Ontario. I'm from Mississauga. I moved to Edmonton when I was 12, and I lived there till I was for up until 2 years ago. So like 40 years, somewhere around 40 years, I lived in Edmonton. I'm a Canadian, born in Canada, but I live in Indiana now, Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I live in the United States. I don't have American citizenship yet, but I do love it here. And I get to talk to a lot of Americans now, and like Florida, Dallas, they're no tax states, but they get you in other ways. They have higher property taxes. They have higher food taxes. Their food is usually more expensive. They have higher taxes on their vehicles, gas. They get you that way. It's really not as much of an advantage as it's sold on. And I mean like significantly more. There's a lady that moved across the street from us who is from Dallas, and I had a conversation with her, and she moved to Indiana. She moved from Dallas to Indiana. Indiana pays about 17%, something like 15% or 17% income tax. And she said that she moved here because of the cost of living was way cheaper than in Dallas, even though she had no income tax on her income. She says still cheaper to live in Indiana. So I think it's kind of overblown, but it's gotten to players' heads that, because Montreal, the tax rate is very high there. Let's face it. You have GST, you got, they kind of hit you every way there. They kind of hit you every way there. But it's not as much of an advantage as people think. But teams still have them on their NTC list. Some people, I wonder about like the French Canadian thing. When I was in Montreal, I had no problems talking to people. I did know a little French, so that helped. But most people spoke English, didn't have a problem with it. And the people were just awesome. People were amazing in Montreal. It's some of the most interesting characters you're going to find. But the fact of the matter is, so when you're looking at free agents, it's kind of tough for me to say which ones would go there. I know that Jenner, of course, being in Columbus, he's used to lower taxes. It sounds like he wants the bag, so I'm not sure he's going to want to go to a place that has GST and all the taxes that they have in Montreal. So I would probably take him off the list. Bobby McMahon seemed to really like Toronto a lot, didn't want to leave. It's a similar tax ratio there in Toronto as it is before, but he went to Seattle where he looks at his paycheck and goes, holy crap. Seattle's a no tax state. I've heard, he's interested in staying in Seattle, but this is a guy that hasn't really made huge his whole career. He's just done okay for himself, but he hasn't got the bag yet. So that's another guy that's probably going to be balancing out going to a competitive team and making sure he has a lot of money in the bank doing it. So is Montreal going to be something? Like I said, he did want to go to Toronto, and I'm pretty sure he's looking for security too. And this is where I think McMahon's off the table for Montreal, because Montreal's got a lot of young players, still got young players coming up that they want to keep spots for. I don't think they want to take 29-year-old players that are going to be there for 6 years that have to fight for a spot with the young guys as much. It's not kind of their MO. They have more of a tendency to overcook the players in the AHL, get them so they're over ready. So when they come into the NHL, they can take that spot right away. If they get a guy like Bobby McMahon, I'm pretty sure in this free agent market, he's going to want a no trade clause. And If that's the case, there could be a clash there when young players want to take over and you end up paying a guy that's playing on the third line more money than you would like to. And there you go. Bobby McMahon has built himself up into a very good player. He's a good 3-zone defense player. He's fast. I think he'd be great for Montreal right now. I think he'd be a good player for Montreal. But I don't know if it's feasible for him to be able to I just don't think the term and everything would be good for them. What other players we got here? You could bring Corey Perry back. He said he wants to play another year, but that's a fourth line guy. So, that was the other thing. I didn't even get to their fourth line. Did I? I didn't even bring that up. Depth chart. Yeah, I did. Bolduc shouldn't be fourth line. He should be moving up next year. Valeno and Kirby Dach. That's not too bad. Centers is not going to happen. Maybe they sacrifice a little bit of their depth to try to find a second line center that maybe is older. Only has short term on his contract. And, Eric Holla is one of those guys that super late bloomer as far as overall development of his game. He had a really good year in Nashville last year. I'm going to look him up here. How big is he? They don't have his overall stats here. Or his size and weight. Why don't they have that? Oh, yeah. Country. They tell you his country when he was drafted. But they don't tell you. I think he's like 6 foot or something like that. On a 2-year deal, I wouldn't mind him at 35 years old. If Hayes comes in and takes his spot, it's not going to hurt you too bad. That's kind of what I'm thinking about when you're looking at a center. Hayes is going to bulk up over the summer. He's going to come in. He's going to be fighting for that spot. If he really impresses, and you sign a guy like Eric Holla, it's not too bad that he gets you can sign him to a number that's probably short in term, and he can fill a spot on that third line. He also can play wing too. So I don't mind that. I think those are the type of guys they're going to be looking for. Corey Perry is cursed. So no. That's funny. So I don't mind him on that. I don't mind like a Holla, guys like that. And I know that Montreal fans are going to be screaming if they do what I just said, because they're wanting now. And I don't blame them. I mean, everybody wants to win tomorrow, right? If you're a fan of a team, you don't want to hear that. And if they fill in some spots with Holla and let's look at D-men. We didn't look at D-men. We're here. Might as well, right? Let's have fun. Let's look at some D-men that they could pick up. One thing I will say for sure, I've heard a lot of Trouba. Do not do that. They don't have the cap space to do it anyways. Trouba is one of the most overrated defensemen you're going to find. He's great for the eye test, guys. He's fast. He's big. He's good. He's a good skater. He's big, and he's got a good shot. And it looks really impressive sometimes when he's on the ice. But his overall game is not very good. He has this idea. He has this reputation of being like some shutdown defenseman. He ain't. He's not very good defensively. He's about a second pair, puck moving, low offense, big hitting guy. He will hit well. He's a big hitter. But overall, for what he's likely going to get this year, I wouldn't doubt if it's in the $8 million range. No way am I paying that. I do not want that guy on my team at that price. Somebody's going to make the same mistake as everybody else has. I don't think that's going to be Anaheim, though, based on what I'm seeing from what Verbeek is doing, but somebody's going to do it. I don't know. I might next time. Maybe I'll go over every free agent and see where I think they're likely going to go. But I would not want to get Trouba. Let me move over to the free agent list here. Replace. Where is the free agent? Did I get rid of that somehow for some reason? I did. Okay, give me a minute. I'll get it back up on the screen again. There we go. Sure. All right. Let's look at defensemen. I could see them trading for defensemen. While I'm doing this, if some come to my mind, then I'll look at it. I'll think. Jamie Alexiak, somebody's going to overpay for him too. He's at this stage, he's a bottom pair. He's really fallen off in Seattle. Probably somebody's going to overpay for him. I wouldn't want him unless he played in the bottom pair. He's okay at that place, but not great. Rasmus Anderson's going to get paid too much. John Carlson's going to get paid too much. Jason Trouba, we just talked about, is probably going to get the $8 million that he's already making. That's way too much. Nick Jensen, he's been injured so much in Ottawa. I don't know what. He's probably going to have to get a low. If you talk to the doctors and everything, and for some reason you think Nick Jensen's not going to get injured again, maybe for the bottom pair at a low price. But, he has been getting injured a lot. Connor Murphy, he's probably a third pair that's going to get paid too much too. I'm hearing right around what he was paying before. If you don't mind paying 4.4 and you want to use him in your bottom pair, huge upgrade over what Montreal already has there. Again, injury problems. I love that guy before his injuries. I just loved him. He was awesome. But injury problems. Don't want John Klingberg. I'll show you his play card. He has no defense whatsoever. I don't think that's what Montreal is looking for. Carlson Soucy. Mario Ferrero, again, he's a guy that hasn't got the bag in his career. He's not bad. He's a good defensive player. He's really improved a lot. I wouldn't mind that, but what price is he going to get? What price is he going to be at? And again, on all of these cases, do they want to go to Montreal? I don't know. If you could get Mario Ferrero in the $6 million mark, he's going to want long-term though, too. That's the other thing. Mario, he's going to want 6 to 7 years. I'd bet he gets $6 million, at least 6 or 7 million. And I always said Montreal has 10 million in cap space to work with here to fill holes in their lineup. One guy that I do kind of like for bottom pair, He's American. Is Trevor Van Riemsdyk. Trevor Van Riemsdyk is a solid 3D still at 35 years old. I don't mind that at all. I don't think he should get much more than $3 million. He brings size. He plays well. He plays well defensively against lower comp. Like, you don't want to be him shutting down top lines very often, but he would be a big upgrade over what Montreal has. I don't mind Trevor Van Riemsdyk. Stay away from Schenn. He's done. Luke Schenn is done. Kulak would be great too. Kulak would be an excellent pickup. Don't mind that at all. He didn't mind playing in Canada. He played in Edmonton. Of course, he's from that area too. Played in Pittsburgh. So don't mind that. Brett Kulak. I'm not sure what kind of price you're getting there. 2.7 for a bottom pair now with the cap going up. I mean, somebody's probably going to give him 3.5 to 4. But I don't mind that. Andrew Peak, don't mind that either. But I think he's going to Florida. He's from Florida. And Florida needs a bottom pair. I have a feeling he's going to Florida. Braden Schneider would be a player maybe you want to trade for. But he's going to want to get paid too. I could see that. He's a restricted free agent, right? Yeah, he's a restricted free agent. From what I understand, he's somewhat available. It just depends on what New York Rangers want to do with that. Vinny Desjardins had a pretty solid year last year. I'm going to show that. That wouldn't be a bad idea too. And I think he is from Quebec. Yeah. Vinny Desjardins. Yeah, look at even strength defense, 96% against 40% competition, only $2 million. There's your guy right there. He's not going to provide you any offense whatsoever. None whatsoever. But the guy's worked on his craft a lot, man, because when he was in Edmonton, he was not very good at all. But I think this would be a guy that you could – let me see if they say where he's from here. It just says Canada. Oh, yeah. He's from somewhere in Quebec. His agent is Philippe Lecavalier. That would be a great pickup right there. That would be an excellent pickup. Vincent Desjardins. Wouldn't cost much. Probably be happy to go home. I think you could probably get him for maybe $2.5-3 million. And yeah, he's not going to provide much offense, but he's really good PK guy. Solid defensively against not bad competition either. Like, competition means like how he was deployed against players in San Jose. Like, did he play against top lines and stuff like that? I wonder if that has a lot to do with the PK and what his 5-on-5 stats would look like, but definitely an upgrade over what they have. So I wouldn't mind that at all. We'll see if that happens. That seems like something that could definitely happen because he's not taking Reinbacher's spot down the road. If Reinbacher does outplay him next year, he can move down into the 7 and you're still not paying huge. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. What else we got? Oh, Jeremy Lauzon. I don't know. I don't mind that either. And I'm pretty sure Lauzon is also. Yeah, he's also Jeremy Lauzon. There's a couple guys right there. Good Quebec boys. Solid bottom pair. I know. I'm pretty sure Vegas won't want to lose them, but I mean, they may have to go with their younger guys there because they really are tight for cap space. If they can get rid of Hill or trade Hurdle and lose that cap space somehow, I don't know how they would go about doing that. But I know Kevin Korchinski, he's a restricted free agent. I think he's falling out of favor in Chicago. Maybe there's good reason for that too. Let me check. Korchinski. First, I'll show you Lauzon. Yeah, solid third pair. Better than Desjardins, actually. I'd rather have Lauzon over Desjardins. Can play both sides, left and right. Not much offensive ability either, but more than Desjardins. Desjardins is better on the PK, but 5-on-5, I prefer Lauzon. Who was I just looking at? Oh, no. Korchinski. I don't know if they're going to have. They don't have that. I don't have enough data for Korchinski. I know he has struggled, though, at the NHL level quite a bit. So, may not be a guy that you're looking at. And I mentioned Kesserling. Kesserling wouldn't be a bad look, too. So there's a couple guys. I think they can fill out that bottom three. There's enough guys there that one of them would probably, especially the two French Canadian guys. And there's something just cool about, just like any team, there's something that people talk about. It was like why Montreal is so concerned about getting French Canadian players. And I'm like, well, yeah, they're hometown players. It's like there's a double standard for Montreal when it comes to that, because if Vancouver picks up a BC boy, everybody's like, oh, good hometown guy, or Edmonton picks up an Alberta boy, oh, good hometown guy. Montreal picks up a hometown French Canadian, people are like, why do they want French Canadians? It's stupid. Why? Because they're hometown guys, man. They're going to play hard for their hometown, and it's just cool to have hometown people. I don't get really what the stigma is about Montreal being inclined to taking French Canadian players. I don't see anything wrong with it at all. Good for them. Good for them. All right. That's kind of what I think they're going to do. I don't think they're going to go big next year. I don't think they're going to drain their prospect pool for some big player. There's talk of Kyrou on that right side. I mean, if it made sense, but if it's I'm hearing Reinbacher a first and another prospect. Reinbacher a first and Kapanen was offered, and they said no. Like, how much more do you want for Kyrou? He's going to be, and he's making $8 million, so you can't really follow can't really fill out your roster after that. And I don't mind Kyrou, but he's had 3 coaches now, and he's been on the trade block with every single coach. And if you remember back in the day, he kind of like threw Berube under the bus as he was going out. He said, well, he's not our coach anymore, so it doesn't matter. They asked him about Berube getting fired, and he said, well, he's not our coach anymore, so it doesn't matter. And that pissed off a lot of fans. People love Chief in St. Louis, and he got booed the next time he played. And they interviewed him afterwards, and the guy started crying. He started crying because they booed him for saying, and he didn't say, well, I didn't mean it that way. Even if he did, you did. You could tell by the way he said it, you did. So if you didn't like the coach and everything like that, and you didn't think it was good, and you go out and say that, okay, fine. But when the fans don't love the coach and they go out and boo you, you don't cry. You just go, well, that's it. Cry. That's why I called him Cry-Roo. Cry-Roo. All right. I think that's my full 42. I had a lot of fun, guys. Thanks for coming in and listening to the fine Montreal Canadiens Frolic. Looks like we'll see if what I'm saying, those are just my takes. Maybe Montreal does go boom to the rafters and bring in a Kyrou, or, there was talk of Pedersen maybe retained, something of that nature. But I think they know that they still have a lot of depth issues there in Montreal that they need to fix. They got incredibly talented players. The one thing I didn't mention about the playoffs, yes, I think they kind of got outplayed by Tampa Bay, and they kind of got outplayed by Buffalo overall. And they, they got by with really unbelievable shooters, and there's nothing wrong with that. But here's the thing. There is a trait that you don't see in young teams too much. And it's something that I think carrying forward is going to be extremely valuable to the Montreal Canadiens. And that is finding a way. They seem to have the heart to find a way. They don't give up. Yeah, they were outshot by a lot of those games. They were outshot in a lot of those games. They were probably outplayed in a lot of those games. But if you watched like Suzuki, I never saw them hang their heads too much, man. They calculated the game and they tried to find a way in all of those games. And often they did. Outshot. Only 9 shots against Tampa Bay. But they bounced it off of Vasilevsky and got the goal. That is people saying that, they just got lucky. I don't see it that way. I saw a team that stayed resilient even though they were being outplayed, and they never gave up. And that is freaking huge for a young team, man. I didn't see that. Buffalo's a young team. I didn't see that same thing in them. I saw them look a lot more nervous. I saw them hang their heads a little bit, and I saw they held their stick tight. Yeah, they got more shots, but a lot of them were right in the belly of, when Montreal got the puck and they had space, they were pinging corners, man. Just Newhook, when he got that last goal against Buffalo. I bet you if that was a Buffalo player, that goes right into the pads or over the net or something like that. It's another way to know if a team is playing with confidence and belief in themselves and don't give up, is they don't miss the net as much. And Buffalo missed the net like crazy. So did Tampa Bay, by the way. Tampa Bay did too. And you think, this is a veteran team, they shouldn't be nervous. But I think Tampa Bay is nervous because they feel the pressure of that team going to be breaking down soon. They're getting older, and the end may be near, and they don't want it to be near, and I think they're feeling that pressure. But with Montreal, I saw a maturity from those players especially Suzuki. He's like just an incredible leader and spectacle on the ice. Like, he never looks like he's defeated. he gives you an aura of confidence just by being on the ice. You don't see that too much in players in general, but certainly young players like him. So yeah, I'm sitting here saying they have depth issues and they need to do this and they need to do that. But that is a something that as they build this team, if you're a team already this young that has that much confidence in yourself and you're that resilient and you're willing to do whatever it takes to win and find ways in games that you might be getting dominated in to be able to win games. Now, Carolina, I mean, man, it's totally understandable why they were gassed. And Carolina with full legs is a bitch of a team to beat. Bitch of a team to beat. They have no shame in what happened there. I don't believe. But in Buffalo and Tampa Bay, they always looked like they believed in themselves. And that is something you don't see often in teams in general, especially teams that young. I think the future for the Montreal Canadiens is going to be insane if they build their team right. And going by what Gordon and Hughes has done already, I don't see how that's not the case. This is a team that probably has a dynasty future. So anything I might have said of critical or whatever up until now is not critical. It's a young team that is learning how to play systems and all of that kind of stuff like that. And they're doing it extremely well. And they're being extremely mature in pressure situations. I think this team's going to be a wagon for years to come. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Have a great day. I may go on later for the hell of it. I don't know. But I'll be on again talking about all different types of things, hockey. You can also catch me. It'll be Monday night on Rico and Perlo's House of Exotic Jaime's Picks Frolic on this channel with Jonathan Davis, who is a Los Angeles Kings reporter, and he's on Sirius Radio, Sirius NHL Radio. He's also on VSiN. Does a lot of great work, great reporter, great hockey mind, and great NHL capper. And Parlay Dre, probably the best parlay capper in hockey I have ever seen. Another great hockey mind. Catch us as we go over the games and we kind of show you how cappers look at stats, trends, everything that we do to be very good at what we do. See you later, everybody. Thanks for chiming in. Thanks for coming in.